The management of this theater thanks you for your patronage.
The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Christina Yojimbo Henry. You can continue. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Hey, welcome everybody.
Welcome.
Here we are.
It is dropping.
Everybody had a lovely holiday.
Yeah. Happy New Year to everyone as well.
Man, just like that. 2021 is
I know.
gone.
Sayonara.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like we're just a rehash going into 2022.
You think so?
Come on, I don't know what's going on. I've already seen Omicron is forcing cancellations of shows and live studio audiences and everything else.
That's a great villain name. Omicron.
Actually, if you ever watch Futurama, one of the aliens, Omicron said he
really?
6 or Omicron said he Lur, I think his name is, one of the aliens.
Do you think today could be categorized as a guilty pleasure episode?
This is it your guilty pleasure or my guilty pleasure?
I don't know if it should be guilty. I don't know if it should be guilty.
Listen,
Maybe I should.
What? If you enjoy something, there should be no guilt associated.
No, you're
with
right.
It. I don't
You're
care.
right. I stand
if you like
proud.
something, you like something.
I stand proud as a fan of this first film.
Yeah. Unflinching.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crap out there that I enjoy, and I don't care.
I will sit here and watch this as unflinching as Dalton himself. There you go.
He doesn't flinch either,
He does not. No, he takes, knife wounds.
He is a tough mofo.
Yes. As he says, pain don't hurt. Webster's dictionary would, I think, disagree with you, but
just pain do hurt.
The definition of pain, I think, includes some hurting.
That is in the very definition.
But we're talking about Roadhouse.
Yeah.
The 1989 bar brawl classic. This has been on my radar from day one. I saw this in the theater in 1989, and I loved it from day one. I could not wait until it was on home video and cable, and I've watched it. I can't tell you how many times.
It's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, on cable. I think I read somewhere that this is like the #1 cable TV show for like years. Like TBS just ran this thing to death because
you can't help but stop and watch it. If you're going through the channels and this thing is on and you have the time, I'm going to sit there and watch it.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I turned the channel more than once when it was on.
This is one of those.
I was happily on board for the Swayze-thon.
I know, like, the dialogue. I know the beats. This is not a self-serious movie by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
I think they know exactly what they have on their hands here, and they take full advantage.
Come on, the director's name is Rowdy.
Rowdy Harrington. You can't go
Rowdy Harrington. Right then and there, you're like, all right, you're either on board or you're not.
But no, this guy actually, he directed, and I watched this recently, a movie called Jack's Back with James Spader, a really understated, really good thriller. So it's not like this guy is just like an action aficionado,
Okay.
As his name would imply.
You think that's his real name? Like a kid pops out of you and you're like, I'm going to name him Rowdy. So.
But yeah, Roadhouse came out in 1989 in May of that year. And at the time, I was like a strange amalgamation of many things at the time. Like musically, I was all over the place. As you know, last week, I loved the Monkees and the Beatles in equal measure. I didn't discriminate in terms of music. And it was the same with film. One part of me gravitated towards the art films that would play in our local art house theater, while another very different part of me had a deep appreciation for the likes of Jean-Claude Van Damme films and Steven Seagal films and Arnold Schwarzenegger films.
As do we all.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just put your likes into one little tiny bucket and
it's
be like,
true.
I'm only gonna like this. Oh, that's a Western? I don't
Mhm.
like Westerns. I don't like manly movies.
And
Sometimes they just speak to you.
my circle of friends were very much the same. So we would watch a movie like Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme and deconstruct it after the movie, talk about the fight scenes.
Really? Wow.
And so when Roadhouse came out, when we saw the trailers for Roadhouse, I'm like, oh, this is right up our alley.
We gotta
So
go.
we went to see it and we were just gobsmacked. We loved it. We were laughing. It was great. It was
Well, you're
great.
not alone. This is a much beloved movie.
This movie has some of the greatest fight scenes I think ever committed to film. And I will not hesitate to say that.
Listen, Rowdy said, hold my beer. I'm gonna make this one.
So,
Kick ass.
you know, I don't think we need to really go through this much, the plot wise, but this is about Dalton, who is the number one cooler in the world.
He's a
cooler. So what a cooler is, I guess, is like the head bouncer in a bar or nightclub or what have you. So he's kind of like the Qui-Gon of the nightclub, of the bar. So he's like oversees all the other bouncers and he calls the shots. And at the very beginning of the movie, he's working in a swanky nightclub in New York City. And you see him actually confront a couple of patrons. They're causing a scene and Dalton and his guys come up and say, okay, you guys are going to have to leave. And one of them grabs a knife and cuts Patrick Swayze's arm. It's like, I've always wanted to take you, Dalton. Come on, me and you outside. Dalton throws him out, just laughs at him and goes back in the bar. Because, you know, he doesn't have to prove himself.
I don't know, but as an
Early
audience, you're
on.
like, I want to see a fight.
You want to see him fight, but this
He's
is
already walking
they're
away.
only giving you a taste. You know as an audience member that you will see him fight eventually.
He's
They're
like
giving
Kung
you a
Fu.
tease.
He's like
This is
Carradine's Kung Fu.
this is drawing you in because now it's building up to the part where he does actually fight, right? So I think this is
especially when you
brilliant.
start hearing the story that he killed somebody. You're like, oh,
Frank Tillman is there at the nightclub and he sees all this go down. Frank Tillman has come from Jasper, Missouri, where he owns the Double Deuce, the kind of place where they sweep up the eyeballs after closing, he says.
Well, your band's playing behind chicken wires.
Yeah,
so you know
it's
what's
like the
going
Blues
on.
Brothers, right? It's
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I need the best to help me clean my place up. And at first he says, well, Wade Garrett, he's the best, played by Sam Elliott.
Pre-mustache.
Dalton's teacher. He's like, oh, Wade Garrett's getting old. I want you. So he offers him huge amounts of money and he quits on the spot and he agrees
quits his
to go.
job. He hires him like the freaking Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he's on his way to Jasper, Missouri, and hence begins the odyssey that is Roadhouse.
I don't think the word Roadhouse is ever uttered once in this movie.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Why didn't they just call it Double Deuce?
One of the great things about this is I have the Shout Factory Blu-ray of Roadhouse.
Of course,
So there is a ton of special features. And one of them is a commentary by Kevin Smith. Just
get out of here.
An appreciation of the movie is basically what this commentary is.
All right.
And it is hilarious. And you're aware of the millions of Chuck Norris jokes that are out there. You know, Chuck Norris is so tough this. Well, Kevin Smith, during his commentary, lets loose a number of Dalton jokes that are very much like the Chuck Norris. So what I've done, I've been inspired by Mr. Smith. I've written a number of them myself, which I will drop during the course of this episode.
I cannot wait.
But let me just start with one of Kevin Smith's himself, which is my favorite. Dalton is so tough. He can order a Big Mac in Burger King and get it. So Dalton goes to the Double Deuce, scopes out the place. It is anarchy when he goes in there. The waitress is selling drugs. There's like public nudity going on. As you said, the Jeff Healey band is playing behind chicken wire.
Yeah.
And at one point, poor Jeff Healey is like, we're going to take a little break so I can go to the bathroom. And one guy throws a beer bottle. You paid to play.
Yeah. But Jeff didn't see that coming.
Oh,
sorry. One blind joke. Blind joke. No, I'm good. All right.
So the place is a mess. And Dalton kind of takes it all in. And Terry Funk, the wrestler, is working there as a bouncer. And he starts a bar brawl. And by the end of it, the entire place is completely destroyed. And I guess this happens on a nightly basis at the Double Deuce.
Yeah, and yet they somehow seem shocked by it.
Yeah.
It's like the guy's throwing beer bottles at your house bands.
And everybody's whispering, "That's Dalton. That's Dalton."
Yeah, women are eyeing him up.
Because as everybody says, I thought you'd be bigger. Whenever they meet him.
That is a running joke. That's kind of like Snake Plissken. Thought you were dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, that mullet, man. You see that before I even walk into a room.
That is impenetrable, that mullet. I think that's bulletproof.
It is
as a matter of fact.
It is a beautiful head of hair, by the way. I don't give a shit what you say about mullets and in their place in this history. That's a nice head of hair. Yeah.
And what's up with the guy dancing with no shirt on? I'd like to know what his deal is.
I don't know. I will say the pours on those beers was just embarrassing, though. That was 3/4 head. I'm not paying for that.
Apparently, Dalton has done this sort of thing before because immediately he buys like a piece of crap car.
Yeah, this is funny because so you've already laid it out, your history with this movie. I know I've seen this. I don't think I've seen it in the theater. I do not have the profound appreciation for it that you do. I was excited to watch it because it is a little outside of my wheelhouse as far as like movies. This is my brother-in-law's favorite movie, and I've always made fun of him for it.
Let me give him a round of applause right now. This is so bad it is good, and it is a fun movie, and I could see myself rewatching this. I now want that disc with all the extra features on it. Oh, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you're right. So it made no sense whatsoever. So he immediately quits his job, gives his car to a bum, breaks his nice car out of the garage, and then drives to Missouri, but then takes the $5,000 that he stipulated was part of his payment and buys another car. And I'm like, what happened to the fancy one?
It's a car that has headlights that cover themselves, which is a key point.
That is, yeah. Now that you bring it up, that's the only thing that I never in my life seen a car do that, by the way. But I guess they exist.
Yep.
But yeah, apparently he's done this before because repeatedly throughout this movie, his car is demolished and vandalized.
And he goes to the junkyard right after he buys the car and buys like 1 million spare tires as well because he knows he's going to need them.
Yeah, he is very zen-like. He is a friggin' Jedi because he knows exactly how this is going to play out. He's dealt with these yahoos 1 million times.
I got another one. Dalton is so tough. When Bruce the shark saw Dalton on the deck of the Orca, he said, "I'm going to need a bigger ocean."
Wait, these are yours now?
These are mine now. I wrote that.
You're listening to this as opposed to a Spider-Man review, by the way.
Yes, people. You are. So Dalton goes for his first night of work at the Double Deuce, and he lays down some rules, and he fires some people. So he's making enemies right off the bat here.
Those guys are all jerks. I mean, they're all skimming. The one guy's skimming money.
Yeah.
This chick's selling coke or whatever. Yep. She's doing drugs.
I find it hard to believe that Patrick Swayze was the first one to utter these words. But the first thing he says, "It's my way or the highway," as if he is the first one to say it. And I believe him. 3 rules. Never underestimate your opponent. 2, take it outside. Never fight in the bar. And 3, be nice. And then you get the jerk. Well, what if they call my mama?
Right.
Is she? So then we get the first night actually with patrons in the bar. And again, a knife comes out. Dalton puts the guy's head through the table in one fluid motion. And this is just one of the many reasons why I appreciate this movie. And this is Swayze doing all of his stuff because
all of these guys are doing their own stunts,
by
the way. This is There's no tricks of the camera here.
A movie like this would be nothing without a major villain to play off of. And the character of Brad Wesley, played by Ben Gazzara, is so memorable. Like you're introduced to him singing along on the radio to Shaboom, Shaboom, and he's just driving his car in both lanes
over the roads
because he owns the town. He can do whatever he wants. And he forces Dalton just happens to be going in the other direction and forces him off the road. And he's like, shaboom.
I think I was behind him on the way home from Vermont yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, and this guy's like a 50-year-old kid. Apparently he's not married. And he just has a gang of thugs that just run the town and extort people.
This guy's basically the grasshopper from A Bug's Life. He's just abusing the town folk to get whatever he wants.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah, hit me up. Let's go.
When Dalton rides It's a Small World, the animatronics get performance anxiety. After Dalton works the first night, then Wesley sends some of his goons in to let Tillman know that he's not having this. So they come in. There's another fight, a great fight in the bar, and this starts the back and forth between Dalton and Brad Wesley, Ben Gazzara's character. And this is the scene where after he gets in this fight, he goes to the ER to get some stitches, and he meets Kelly Lynch's character, Doc, who stitches him up. And this is where we get the immortal "Pain Don't Hurt" line.
No, and meanwhile, I'm screaming at the screen. I'm like, how did she get his medical report? He just got to town. Well, they answer that because apparently he just carries it around.
He just carries it around with him, just like the spare tires. Yeah.
He's been stabbed and split open so many times. I did read something, which is Kelly Lynch spent months learning how to do a proper stitch for her role. And then they just gave her a staple gun. So she wasted all that time actually shadowing people in an emergency room. Money not well spent.
I heard that Annette Bening was originally cast in that role.
I don't see that at all.
And they had no chemistry, so she was fired.
I would like to see that footage. That's right up there with what's his name from Back to the Future?
Yeah,
Eric
Stoltz, right?
Yep. We should have really paired this up with Over the Top, because this movie is so over the top. It is.
And proud.
Another favorite movie of my brother-in-law's, by the way.
And now Wesley, of course, tries to get Dalton on his side as to being one of his goons once he realizes how formidable he is, right?
But why would Wesley not want Tillman to have a successful business? Because then it would be more money for him, right? Isn't he skimming?
Well,
he's basically
Wesley's nephew was skimming from the till, so you can only assume that Wesley himself is extorting Tillman in some way. So I think Tillman is trying to strike out on his own here by hiring Dalton, and that thus showing
he's not
some independence from Wesley, right?
Yeah, and apparently that's all it takes to make a successful bar is to just get a good bouncer. Yeah. Because all of a sudden, this place goes from a hole to a glorious Mecca dance club. I mean,
in the middle of nowhere, it's like a dirt parking lot as well.
Did this like happen overnight? When did these construction people come in and put up the new sign?
I know, the new bar, the new everything on the inside.
Everything is like brand new.
The stage, the chicken wire,
clean up all the blood.
There's probably still an eyeball or two, hiding somewhere in the corner.
Yeah, this place got cleaned up lickety split, man.
But there's so many lines in this that are there's the scene where Wesley summons Dalton to his house, and he tries to get him to join his forces. And Dalton, trying to be polite, he's looking around. He sees a picture of an old picture of a young man from years ago. Oh, that's my grandfather. He looks like an important man, Dalton says. And Gazzara is like, he was an asshole. He doesn't explain why. He just moves on.
That was it. End of story.
I got the mall here, the 7-Eleven, the photo mat. Hell, the JCPenney is coming here because of me.
Meanwhile, every store that he mentioned is now defunct.
Yeah, I love it. The 7-Eleven, the photo mat. Even in 1989, did they still have photo mats?
I don't think so. 85, because I know that Marty ran one over.
Yeah, and I actually have this written down as well. Why would Tillman even want to stay in Jasper? Right. Even if he cleans up the double deuce, which he does, Wesley would not let him be after that. And the other thing here that's odd, and this made more sense as I read into the movie, is that Keith David is the bartender. Childs from The Thing is the bartender. And he's only ever in the background. He's like an extra.
No lines. Yeah. No, he does have.
He does have says like, "Hi, Dalton," or something like that.
Right.
But I was reading
confused with David Keith, by the way.
Right. No, don't confuse the two.
We've gone down that road before.
But apparently the original cut of Roadhouse was 3.5 hours long.
What? How come that's not on your Blu-ray?
I don't know why. I would love to watch a 3.5 hour long version of Roadhouse. But apparently every scene with Keith David, he was in a fight scene. So you see him get hired. Yeah. So he was a big part of the movie and he got cut down.
Wow.
So once Dalton starts to have some trouble, he realizes that maybe Wesley and his goons is a little bit more than he can handle on his own. So he calls Sam Elliott, Wade Garrett, who eventually shows up, and his big line when he pulls up on the parking lot, he goes, "The double douche," when he looks at
Oh, you clever guy.
Okay, I got another one. You ready?
Hit me.
The real reason that Thanos snapped was because he had a 50-50 chance to take out Dalton.
You had way too much fun with this. I will tell you that I'm watching this movie and Tillman, I'm going, I know this guy. Who is this guy? And I'm looking at him, I was like, Kevin Ty. He's from Emergency.
Oh.
He was Roy DeSoto from Emergency, which I watched religiously with my parents way back in the day.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I will say this, what's her name? Kelly Lynch. This hair, I know it was popular in the late 80s. She looks like a Lhasa Apso.
Well, let me tell you, it's not dissimilar to Patrick Swayze's hair. There's a similarity going on.
And that's really close to the girl in Steel Dawn as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities between these two movies. So, but she's ready to score on the second date. That was the 80s for her.
And she does score. There's this is funny. I don't know if you read this, but apparently Kelly Lynch's current husband is friends with Bill Murray and his siblings.
Yes. Mitch Glazer, by the way. Mitch Glazer.
That's her husband. So whenever this movie shows up on cable and one of the Murrays happens to be watching it, he gets a call. Mitch Glazer gets a call. Hey, Patrick Swayze's on your wife against the wall right now. I'm watching it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she's probably getting a stipend check every time it shows up on cable. He's like, I'll take my $2.20. Now,
of course, this all has to tie together. Of course, Kelly Lynch's Doc character is the ex-girlfriend of Brad Wesley. So I
don't see that at all.
No, but he's peeping on him.
He's your dad.
He's sitting in his rocking chair, rocking in and out of frame, right?
Like there's a reason that nobody took that apartment, Dalton.
Yeah,
because this whole guy's like sitting there just staring into your barn.
Now, we haven't mentioned yet that Wesley has a number one henchman by the name of Jimmy. He is extremely threatening, so he is more than a match for Dalton. So you cannot wait until these two guys mix it up. They tease it. They tease it at one point, but before they actually get into it full bore. Wade Garrett comes into town, like we said. Sam Elliott comes riding in, and he meets Doc, Kelly Lynch, and he's very I wouldn't trust this guy.
Yeah, no, he was eyeing her up big time. He
was great. He was dancing with her. He's grabbing her. He's like, and she says to him, "Is this the part where you're going to tell me what a great guy Dalton is?" No, this is the part where I tell you what a great guy I am.
I'd be hard pressed to pick which one I'd want.
Like you said, he didn't have his mustache at the time.
That's and then, he still commands the screen.
And then there's that little Jaws homage, right, where they're talking about scars, and he stands up, is like, look at this, and he unzips his pants, like, whoa. I got another one.
Okay.
The monkey in Raiders of the Lost Ark wasn't poisoned. He actually committed suicide rather than explain himself to Dalton.
Nazi monkeys. Always funny.
I should write these. I got a book out of this stuff.
You should. Throw these on Twitter.
Also, Dalton, at the same time, we talked about his apartment that overlooks Wesley's across the river, right?
Which is a nice apartment, by the way.
It is, but it doesn't have any air conditioning. Doesn't have any. Did it have electric? It did have electricity. It
had electricity. All you did is open a door.
But Emmett is his landlord, and this actor who plays Emmett, Sunshine Parker is his name.
That's a hell of a name right there. Sunshine.
He was also played a very similar character in Tremors, another big cult movie.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We still have yet to cover that. What's going on there?
There's a fight between Wade Garrett, Sam Elliott, who obviously he had a leg injury at some point because he's always limping.
Yeah, you see him limping.
So he gives that tell away that he's got a bad leg. So Jimmy, during that one strip tease, Brad Wesley's girlfriend strips in the double deuce and Dalton has to put a stop
Speaking
to
of
it.
double deuces. Yeah.
Then Jimmy gets involved with the pool cue and handles Sam Elliott pretty easily. Then him and Dalton are about to get into it, and then suddenly Ben Gazzara fires his gun into the ceiling. That's enough. Can't have this. It's too early in the movie.
Boys. Right, too early. Oh, we gotta wait this for the climax.
But as you said before, you get little hints that Dalton has killed the man because it's discussed with Sam Elliott. Ben Gazzara himself brings it up that it was, I guess, a jealous husband, and that the woman didn't tell Dalton that she was married. And the guy came with a gun, and Dalton ripped his throat out with his bare hands.
With the claw. There you see the claw.
Was it a 2-finger or a 3-finger? I don't quite. Man. It was, yeah.
It was like a chicken peck.
It was like the 10-finger death blow. It was.
It's like got wrist action going on there.
So this is teased. If you know anything about movies, you know you're going to see him rip somebody's throat out before the end.
Yeah, and they deserve it.
And this guy that gets it really deserves it because it's Jimmy. He blows up Emmett's house.
What was in this house? Napalm? This thing like just went up.
And after he blows it up, you see him on his bike, and he does the most evil.
Can we do that again?
So he starts to ride away, and Swayze on foot runs after the motorcycle and does such a graceful balletic leap in the air. Knocks him off the bike in the best fight in all of cinema history. Do we know
that he did that stunt himself?
He did. It was all done by the actors themselves. So everything you see
off
here.
that over cliff there,
and they were actually hitting each other because
they were really
invested 100%. Swayze actually injured himself doing this stuff on this movie.
Yeah.
He turned down several big action movies after this, and he took Ghost as a consolation because there was no action involved, and that ended up being the biggest hit of his career.
Yeah, so, he was Tango and Cash and Predator 2.
Yeah, imagine him in Predator 2.
You don't have a Predator? The Predator left Earth because
Dalton. He was scared of Dalton.
That's right.
All right, speaking of that, I got another one.
Let's go.
When Dalton plays space chess on the Millennium Falcon, Chewie lets him win.
That may be my favorite. But poor Doc, she was not too impressed with his killing prowess.
No, the guy just almost killed Emmett. The guy just blew up his house and laughed. The most evil laugh ever. So they're going at it, right? And Dalton, and it's back and forth. That's why I love this fight so much. It's like a really knockdown, drag out fight. And there's this one scene where the guy grabs Dalton in a headlock and almost in his ear says, "I used to guys like you in prison."
Yeah, that's okay. You're really going to motivate me now.
Dalton comes back at him and beats him down until the gun comes out of his, ankle holster. And that's when Dalton does the neck move. He rips out his throat in one fluid motion, just like he balletically, leapt. He rips out his throat beautifully. All the meat is hanging off of his hand as the guy just falls dead into the water. And yes, as you said, Doc sees this happen, is horrified, runs away from Dalton as if he's got 3 heads. So now Dalton is pretty much a murderer, right? Well, he could again argue self-defense because the guy did have a gun.
The guy had a gun. Wasn't that one of his credos?
But anyway, he goes into the river with the body and he pushes it towards Wesley. Wesley!
That was a little taunting right there.
And you see the body float out of frame.
You get a 5-yard penalty in the NFL if you throw a dead body back at your opponents. And he's just sitting on his rocket chair. He's like, that's not good.
That's my number one guy, right? That's right there.
You know how much money I invested in that dude?
So, but then Dalton goes to the Double Deuce the next day, like he's just showing up at work.
Yeah, there's no repercussions in any of this.
Dalton shows up at the bar. Wesley calls him and says, "Okay, you took one of my guys. I'm taking one of yours." So Sam Elliott is now dead.
He was stabbed right in the Double Deuce?
Right in the Double Deuce, right where the sun don't shine. So then it becomes a vendetta at the end of this. So now it's Dalton versus Ben Gazzara.
Can we just talk about the fact that he pulled a murder weapon out of his It's
out of his friend's body.
You might want to leave that for evidence.
Yeah, for evidence.
I don't know. Nope. We got to take it out of there. So if he's still slightly alive, he's now just going to bleed out. Thank you.
So what happens when you feed Dalton after midnight?
Oh, what happens?
He kicks your ass for not feeding him at supper time.
How many people are turning off? It's so silly.
So then we get the big fight between Dalton and Brad Wesley. Now, if Dalton ripped out the throat of Jimmy, how Brad Wesley gives him any trouble, even when he's shot in the shoulder, is beyond me. How this old man can mount any kind of a fight against Dalton. This is a little
bit of a letdown. I get it that you want to build up the tension for this, but come on. And it's a nice set piece too, because you're in his trophy room. You got all these antlers and dead animals everywhere. So the guy's prowess with the gun.
And this is another one of my favorite lines, because when they're in that trophy room and Wesley is like hiding behind the furniture, he goes, "Dalton, you like my trophies? The only thing missing is your ass." He said. And I think Ben Gazzara read that line and he put the wrong emphasis. I think he should have said, "The only thing missing is your ass," rather than "the only thing missing is your ass." So I literally see Dalton's ass on the wall.
Right. Just like mounted. The rest of them's on the other side of the wall. My favorite line is "a polar bear fell on me."
Yeah. Did you see anything, Tiny? "A polar bear fell on me."
I thought he died of fright.
I thought
that guy was down for the count. The bear fell on him.
The townspeople get their cathartic release now, because you already saw poor Red, his auto parts store, get blown up.
Yep.
You saw the car salesman, the Bigfoot truck drove through his showroom.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, this bully tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they all they put their big girl panties on and they decide they're all gonna now that Dalton has done the heavy lifting. Hey, we did it together.
So they all have shotguns. They're now talk about again Ben Gazzara. He's being shot by multiple shotguns. He's not going down.
No, he's not going down.
Until finally, like the fifth or sixth shot, slow motion flies up in the air and goes through the coffee table.
Yeah. And the cops come in and they're like, "What happened here?" "I don't know. Did you see anything, Bob?" "I didn't see anything. Did you see anything, Red?" It's like no murder charges, no homicide. No,
everybody just goes home after that.
Yeah.
The cops are satisfied.
We're all good here.
When the radioactive spider bit Dalton, the spider got superpowers.
You got more? Or is that it?
No, I got a couple more.
Okay. All right.
So at the end, you get like the credits rolling over the happy ending. The town is Brad Wesley free. And over Jeff Healey's closing song, you see Dalton and Kelly Lynch skinny dipping. Now, if you freeze frame before they both jump in the water, Jeff Healey is sitting on a blanket on the lawn with them as they run past him naked.
What?
And jump in the water. Yes.
Oh, I missed that.
We freeze framed it because I'm like, wait, there was a third person there. Rewound it, freeze frame. It's Jeff Healey. So they apparently adopt him in the 3-hour version and like to play mean jokes and run by him naked. He can't see him anyway.
Yeah. They adopt him. He passed away though.
Did he? Place of death, March to the he is passed away, unfortunately, Jeff Healey.
Too bad.
But he's left a legacy with this movie. I'll tell you.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, I love this movie. I can't tell you how much I love this movie.
Well, I can hear it in your voice. You're giddy. You're like a little schoolgirl over there.
Rowdy Harrington. I've got just some facts. He was an electrician on Humanoids from the Deep.
Oh.
He was the best boy on Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, what is the best boy? What do they do?
That's a good question that I cannot answer that.
Is that just like, somebody, this is the best boy we have. Here he is. And they put him on display. Yeah.
But I'm a girl. Sorry. Yeah. You're not going to work out.
It cost $15 million to make. At the box office, it made $30 million. But over its lifetime on video and streaming, it is at $200 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
It definitely found a life on cable. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Filmed on location in California. The inside of the Double Deuce.
They didn't even film in Missouri?
California. They did not film in Missouri. Inside the Double Deuce was a real bar in Anaheim. The outside was just a facade that they built on a set. Patrick Swayze wrote 3 songs for the movie, and 2 of them end up with him singing on the soundtrack album, but I don't think they're in the actual movie itself.
She's like the wind. Not one of them.
I'll rip your throat out.
You're right.
Roger Ebert said,
"Oh no, uh-oh.
This is not a good movie, but viewed in the right frame of mind, it is not a boring one either."
Wow. Faint praise.
Yes, faint praise. Nominated for 5 Golden Razzies, including Best Picture. It lost to Star Trek V.
Really?
Really. And Patrick Swayze lost
Star Trek V, The Final Frontier.
The Final Frontier. You're correct.
Yeah.
Swayze lost to William Shatner for Worst Actor, Golden Razzies.
I think he directed that too.
I think you're right.
Frontier.
I think you're right.
And the only reason he got to direct it is because Nimoy directed 4. Interesting. They did make a sequel called Roadhouse 2 Last Call.
Oh, I was not aware of that.
The first thing they did, they killed Dalton. They killed him.
Was Swayze in it?
Gunshot to the head. No, it's some, I don't know, good son-in-law or something, and he's a DEA and he runs a bar by night or whatever.
You can't take Dalton out of Roadhouse. You cannot.
No.
It's like taking Spider-Man. It's like taking Spider-Man out of Venom. You cannot do it. Cannot do it.
Well, they did.
They did.
Yeah. There is a remake supposedly in the works with Rob Cohen attached, but why? There are certain movies you just stop. You can't.
No, it's Swayze. It's Swayze is the key.
Yeah, no, it is the key. Yeah. And that hair, we already talked about his coif. Which is, here's an interesting thing, which is, did you know that the Beastie Boys are accredited with terming the mullet?
No. Like lyrically in one of their songs?
I guess mullet head. It's like a short for mullet head. And it would have to be in one of their lyrics. You would have thought it would have been around much longer than that, but
yeah,
I don't know. So anyways, whatever, he rocks it.
Buckets. I'm going big. I'm going big.
You went 4 1/4 on head. So I'm gonna say you're even higher. I'm gonna say you're at least 4.5.
You are correct. 4.5.
Yeah. Wow, look at that. Nailed it.
Yeah.
See, we haven't been doing this for 3+ years without me guessing at least some point.
Yeah.
I'm going 3 1/4. I enjoyed it immensely. I had a lot of fun with this. Not something I watch every day, but it may be in rotation now. And like I said, over the top. Just, I don't know if we could have handled Stallone, and I think Swayze needs his own day.
It's his own genre he needs.
Yes, exactly. Sandwiched between Dirty Dancing and, like you said, Ghost, right in there. He was in his heyday.
Dirty Dancing itself was a huge hit. So apparently the set was mobbed on Roadhouse.
Yeah, I did read that. There was like fangirls going down the river in little boats and people chasing them down. You know, if you're out filming in California, what you know.
Yeah.
There he is. Swayze's down the street.
Our next film is another Swayze, but this was pre-Dirty Dancing and Roadhouse.
Came out the same year as Dirty Dancing. Though.
It came out in 87. When did Dirty Dancing come out?
87
or 87?
Either or.
Steel Dawn, but let's go to the concession stand and come right back.
Well, if you're feeling kind of hungry and thirsty, and you'd like to have a tasty treat, hey man, swing on down to the snack bar, all wonderful things to eat. Popcorn, candy and nuts, hot dogs, and ice cream.
May I offer a vociferous recommendation for the cuisine and delicacies tendered patrons of the snack bar?
And here's a real thirst quenching treat. Dr. Pepper is the friendly pepper-upper, and it never, never, never lets you down. Remember, it's the friendly pepper-upper. Dr. Pepper never, never lets you down.
Frosty, man. Frosty.
All right, Steel Dawn, a Lance
Yeah.
Hool film.
There's a lot of hools.
There's a lot
working
of
on this
hools.
movie. There's a lot of hools in this movie.
How many hools does it take to change a light bulb? Not
don't
as
know.
many as it takes to make Steel Dawn, apparently.
That whole name is all over the place on this movie. I'm like, talk about nepotism. What's going on here?
Oh.
This is basically Dalton in the desert, by the way.
It is. It's the same plot.
It's the same.
It's the same plot.
It's the same movie, but this came first.
Remember that Steel Dawn? Let's make it better.
Let's just make it. Let's put it in a bar. Let's
Yeah.
just put it in a bar. Yeah, we got rid of the kid. It's very Mandalorian as well.
Yeah.
You know, well, but Mandalorian itself is the old school man with no name Clint Eastwood movies where he just kind of strolls into town, saves the day, and then goes on.
But it's like it's post-apocalyptic Roadhouse because it's like a road
yes.
warrior.
He's a nomad with a killer coif.
And that's his name. Is Nomad.
Nomad. A little on the nose, don't you think?
Yeah.
Fair enough. It is a futuristic version of Shane, if you're familiar with that Western.
And that story's been retold over
Yeah,
and over.
it's-
Loner comes in to clean up a town. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Erstwhile co-host who is not with us, she would point out probably numerous Japanese movies that kind of,
That take that same premise. And
yeah.
it opens with a really cool scene, and none of the movie matches it, where he's fighting these weird
No, these guys are coming out of the
sand people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sand people. Absolutely look like sand people.
But they're like sandworms. They're coming in and out of the sand. They're trying to steal his bag.
Yeah, it's
and
impossible. Like
and
how
he's
how they're
chopping 'em up.
maneuvering.
with his sword. It's pretty cool. It's actually a really nice
they
scene.
find him on he's doing a headstand. Again, he's channeling like this Tai Chi thing that Dalton was using at some point.
But I can't see how standing on your head is relaxing.
It's not, especially in the sand.
Yeah.
How are you pulling that off?
Because
And
your
he-
head,
he's
you
wearing-
can't breathe. Your head goes under, right?
And he's wearing a headband that does absolutely nothing. That headband's not holding anything back. He does. If you want to talk about the mullet in Roadhouse, his hair goes almost down to his ass.
yeah.
So.
And I think I saw the same Coke machine as was in Head.
That would have been
Yeah.
great. Get the post-apocalypse. Well,
Yeah.
we did see the ship at one point. That looks like a real practical thing.
Yeah, that
like a
was
giant ship. I'm like, was this like left over from Close Encounters?
Yeah, no, they filmed this in Namibia, and that was an actual shipwreck that
Get
they
outta
took
here.
advantage of. Yeah.
That is really good. That's a
Mm-hmm.
really cool Namibia. Yeah. I found like absolutely no fun facts about this movie whatsoever.
IMDb. I found a whole bunch on IMDb.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, maybe
yeah.
I didn't dig enough. I don't know. It is on Tubi, by the way. That's where I watched it.
Yes, that's where I watched it. Well, and not bad. It wasn't, that bad
No,
quality.
no.
I still got some Daltons
Oh,
up my
do you?
sleeve.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm gonna keep with them.
All right, let's go.
When Dalton watches It's a Wonderful Life, it always ends with the townsfolk shotgunning Mr. Potter
Oh,
through a glass table, by the way.
through a glass table.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember ever watching this. It's
No, I never saw it. I never saw it.
Road Warrior ish. There's a scene
Hey.
toward the end of the movie where he's wandering through the desert with the dog next to his side. And I'm like, this is so Road Warrior. It's
And the
ridiculous.
soundtrack, Brian May, who
Yeah.
did the soundtrack for Road Warrior, and it sounds exactly the same
Yeah.
if you're familiar with the Road Warrior soundtrack.
But you're right. So that opening scene where they're trying these creatures or whatever, I don't know. They're just
And you
people
don't see him again after this opening scene.
No, which is too bad. They're going out of the way to kind of create this world, but they don't really embody it too well with like creatures like that. People that would really, these subcultured creatures that would exist that he has to deal with. He finds his way into the tavern and ends up in a brawl.
Now he runs into his old friend who has got a job as a peacemaker, who's like a sheriff for a town called Meridian because they're having trouble with the locals, apparently. So he's on his way to Meridian, and then Nomad runs into him. He's his old, army buddy. They go to a bar and they
I
get
thought he, like,
ambushed.
trained him. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think he did train him. They get ambushed, And this guy wearing the same wig, I think, from that David Bowie wore in Labyrinth, comes in, and they stab the boss to death. They think Nomad is dead, so they leave him. He wakes up and he takes his place as the peacemaker in this town, Meridian. He goes there and he meets the woman, Kasha, who is Mrs. Swayze in real life. That's his wife. And
now, were they
son.
married when they made this, or this is where they met?
I don't know, but I think that they did some movies previous to this, so they may have been.
Okay.
They may have been.
I did read they were still married when he passed away in 2009. I will say, with that hair and outfit, we can only assume that her full name is Kasha Gugu.
Oh, nice one.
Thank you.
Blade Runner guy is in it.
Yes. Yeah, we got a couple big names in here.
Brian James. He's got the famous "Time to Die" line in Blade Runner.
Fifth Element as well. He was in Fifth Element.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see him play like a good guy.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's the guy that's actually taking care of Kasha and her son. So he's the head dog, as he calls himself, on this water farm or whatever.
He gets a little too butthurt though. He's like, "Oh, they like him better. I'm gonna leave." I'm like, get over yourself. But we also see Arnold
Vosloo. I thought it was Billy Zane for a second. Then I'm like, no, that's Arnold
that
Vosloo.
Would have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the mummy himself. This is
because the Brad Wesley character is played by Anthony Zerbe, who is Damnil.
Oh,
so he's the local landowner who thinks he owns everything, and he's got a bunch of goons just like Wesley had in Roadhouse, and Arnold Vosloo is one of them. And what are the names of those vehicles that they drove?
Oh, I don't know. It's
Wind
like
Chaser.
Wind Chaser. The worst pod race ever.
It's like a big wheel.
Just Kid Jux is basically Anakin.
Yeah.
Although this came out 12
several
years before.
Over a decade before.
Yeah. It's Waterworld with a lot less water.
And these wind race, you could actually walk faster than these things roll.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know these metal polar things. They're supposed to be like solar panels. At one point toward the end, they're chasing the kid. He goes to crash and he jumps off, and all of a sudden he becomes like a 6 foot tall stuntman for like one scene, because the kid's like 4 foot tall, and then he jumps off and he's like a full grown adult. Like, I'm not really sure that was him that did that, but yeah, these bad guys are not. You can tell they're bad because they're wearing black. It's like,
and I think there's 4 of them. There's Damn Nil, so he's the head, and then you got Damn John, Damn Paul, Damn George, and Damn Ringo. But these fight scenes aren't very good. No, by the way,
no, the choreography on this stuff is not. And I did like the fact they're like, "Hey, we're saying they're bringing us a peacemaker," and I was like, "Yeah, he's dead." Sorry.
We've already gone through Roadhouse, and again, this is the exact same plot. Instead of a bar that they're defending, it's like an underground spring of fresh water. Yeah, the bad guys don't even know that it's there. They don't even
know what's there.
So why they're interested in?
Correct.
Yeah,
because it is some kind of an irrigation, and she's talking about this. We're going to irrigate, and I'm going to create aqueducts and all this stuff to bring back the plants. And I don't know. It's like, it's like Chinatown. It's like whoever controls the water controls the valley, kind of a thing. But and of course, once again, they immediately fall. Thankfully, he didn't throw her up against a sand dune like he did in the last movie, because getting sand out of your crack is not fun.
No, the love scenes are very sedate. Well, it's his wife, after all,
I know those are the ones you'd want to be salacious.
So yeah, music right out of the Road Warrior. Fighting isn't that great.
No, love scene is nonchalant. It's non-existent because they walk off screen.
So then, and when we get to the final fight scene that between Nomad and the guy that killed his old war buddy, his war teacher, it's more of a sword fight than anything else, and it's not a very good sword fight either. A meh kind of a movie,
Yeah, I think this is what Gladiator aspired to be. So, it's not good. I did like it when they snuck into the bad guys' village to get the water pump back
in full view of everyone.
Yeah, I know. It turned into Porky's. All of a sudden, him and Tark are like oogling these girls. These I don't know, these harem.
I think they were like prostitutes or something. Yeah.
And then Tark is like, "Oh, I'll stay here." Yeah, but unfortunately, Tark gets gypped. He leaves because he sees that he's no longer needed because Nomad is now cozying up to the family. But he gets tanked, and then he gets taken out. Yep.
Sad sack he was, as
Yeah.
you said. Just a-
Yo, nobody wants me now.
And did you notice the terrible punching sound effects? They were
You didn't like that,
completely
did you?
loud and really obvious.
Yeah,
It
sure.
was terrible.
That's like old school Star Trek
Yeah.
punching. I can't believe that this didn't get any Razzies.
I know. I don't think it was even on the radar to get Razzies. But
No.
it came and went. Apparently, it opened on 290 screens in November of 1987. So yeah, I think it did come out after Dirty Dancing. Cost $3.5 million to make. Made $562,000 at the box office, which seems like a lot.
Ouch.
That
Wow.
seems like a lot, though, for this.
Well, you think 87. I mean, you had the Conan movies before.
Yeah.
You know, there was a little bit of a resurgence. Road Warrior, obviously, Mad Max. So you kind of had that apocalyptic sand and sandal kind of genre going.
And of course, he's got to walk off into the sunset at the end. He
Of course.
denies any romance, right? He's like, nope, I got to go. I can't
I'm
stay
done.
with you.
I was waiting for the kid to see.
Well, who's going to
Shane.
protect them now?
Shane. Yeah, there's got to be more than that.
Yeah.
That group of bad guys.
But
What
she
about
doesn't.
those guys that hide in the sand.
I know the sand people.
How come they didn't find that water underground? They're literally traveling underground.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
But she doesn't seem very sad either that he's going. She's like, all right, I kind of knew it.
Listen, he probably wasn't very good in bed. Go on your
Yeah.
way there, Mr. Nomad.
I've got non-committed buckets for this one. He's like, I didn't really even enjoy it as a bad movie. I was just kind of bored by it.
Yeah.
I would give it 2, maybe,
That's
and that's
exactly
charitable.
where I am. It's 2. Yeah. It's a movie. But like I said, you said you found more fun facts because I found nothing. The fact that it was filmed in Namibia is
the fact that I was able to find that it was Namibia and what it made at the box office. Its working title was Desert Warrior.
Oh, that's slightly worse.
And I read a review out of Where the Long Tail Ends. I don't know if that's a magazine or a website or what. Opens with a scene so amazing that it will melt your face right off.
Wow, that's high praise.
The rest of it pales in comparison.
Wow, thank you. So just like Paulina, what was her name? You just walk in for the first 5 minutes
and then just leave. Yep. I got a couple more Daltons, and then we can end this thing.
All right, bring us home.
What is Dalton's nickname for the Hulk?
I don't know. This is not safe for work episode, my friends.
My final Dalton joke of the show.
Okay, all right.
What did Dalton say when he met Chuck Norris? He said nothing because Dalton keeps a respectable distance from Chuck Norris. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Bringing it full circle. After all that, Chuck Norris still standing tall. Wow. So I guess you have to wait until next week to listen to our Spider-Man No Way Home review.
Yes. And as you've said before, this possibly could be a good thing because it gives people a chance to not only see it, because we're going to spoil it. You cannot talk about this movie without spoilers. And it'll give it time to digest. Maybe you see it more than once, then you come back and listen to our conversation.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, sometimes when you see this stuff so fresh, we don't always have a time to kind of, like you said, reflect and really think about the
and live with it.
Live with it. Yeah. Especially because going forward, I'm assuming that this is going to be big. And this is all speculation on my part.
Not saying a word. I am not saying a word.
I know. Thank you very much for sitting through this, indulging us this week.
Yes, thank you.
If you don't want to be a part of it, you can turn it off, but come back next week where we actually speak about something you may care about.
Yes. And in addition to Spider-Man No Way Home, we are covering the entirety of the series Hawkeye.
Yes, who some of us have not even started watching it yet, but I have been watching it weekly.
Well, you've got one up on me in terms of Hawkeye.
Yeah, I know. I think you're better, though. I think you're better. You saw Spider-Man. How long have we been talking about this?
Yeah, I know.
It's like now that it's here, it's like when I go to buy a comic book, it's like the anticipation of getting enough money to buy. And then once I have it in my hands, I'm like, all right, now what I'm going to buy. I need to buy something else.
I've always said this, that it seems like the act of getting something is more important than actually having it and owning it.
Yeah. mission accomplished. I now have it.
Yeah.
It's now sitting in a box in the dark that maybe I'll take out every now and again and look at. Like recently, I've upticked my book buying as far as, you know, a little more high end. High end. And one day, maybe my children will benefit from this. You know, they'll reap whatever they may be worth. Or maybe we'll just end up in a post-apocalyptic world that will be worthless. That's one thing I wish I always had seen in The Walking Dead, is that they come across a comic book store and somebody finds a CGC graded Amazing Fantasy number 15 and just watch the fanboys lose their effing minds when they crack it open to read it. You know, $1 million comic book that is now absolutely worthless. But I stopped watching that show years ago, so I doubt they ever did it or ever will it. All right, so that's it. Our Roadhouse, everybody. Our Swayze-thon is officially over. And who knows where we're going to go next. We're going to dig deep on some of these. Yeah,
we still over the top, pleasure. Right? We got to pair that up with something.
Over the top. Whoever greenlit a movie about
arm wrestling. Is it thumb wrestling or is it arm wrestling?
No. It's arm wrestling, but it's all about the over the top is when you bring the thumb up and over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes. That's another movie I haven't seen in a very long time.
Oh, Demolition Man, Cobra. There's all these things. Yeah.
Listen, we could go in Maximum Overdrive. We got all kinds of crazy guilty pleasure crap. And we're not even going to call them guilty pleasures. They're just pleasures because they're movies. And movies are made to be enjoyed.
Yes, they are. No matter what it is.
Some are serious.
And you may enjoy some more than others, as we did today.
That's right. Listen, this is why we started this podcast.
Exactly.
Talk about this stuff. So, all right. Thanks for
everybody.
Listening.
Next week, Spider-Man.
Yes, and Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. If you liked the podcast you just heard, then please follow TMI on all of our social media outlets. First and foremost, email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com. That is tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
And you can follow us on Twitter at TMI_podcast2018. Stop over, say hi, give us a compliment. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well, which is also TMI_podcast2018.
And of course, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/TMI Podcast 2018. And it should be noted, we also have a community page, so join the forum.
And if you like to watch YouTube, you can see us at TMI Podcast 2018, all one word. Look for the popcorn bucket.
Or you could just go to our website, which has every link there, TMIconfessionalspodcast.com. And we'll see you at the concession stand.
We'll save some popcorn for you.
Mwah.